Hi, my name is Charisse Janelle, and you're listening to Chapter 4 of Barbara Conklin's P.S. I Love You, book number 1 of the Sweet Dreams book series by Bantam Books, copyright 1981. Chapter 4. It took us about 1.5 hours to get to Palm Springs, and that's just about how long I sulked. Kim sat in the back of the car surrounded by boxes, her nose in her coloring book. Finally, we got off the freeway and turned onto a narrow road. It wasn't terribly narrow, of course, but it seemed so after the freeway. On the left of us, we could see the flat desert land. On the right of us, mountains with a haze around them, making them look almost purple. Early in the year, you can see snow up on top of those mountains, my mother told us. Those tiny sticks up there that look like toothpicks, they're really huge evergreens. Can we go up on the tram? Kim asked, noting a huge sign on the side of the road advertising the cable cars that go to the top of the mountain. We'll see, she said. We passed the sign that says the Palm Springs Aerial Tramway, and then we entered the town of Palm Springs. Another sign, Visit the Indian Canyons, Chamber of Commerce, Palm Springs. I didn't even know there were Indians in Palm Springs. Mom pulled the car into a Sambo parking lot. Let's eat now and then consult the map Mr. Abbott sent me. You mean we have to go further than this? Asked the impatient Kim. Not much further, my mom said, but I'm hungry and we should freshen up before we reach the house. But there's no one there much, I said. The Abbotts have already left for Europe. The place was so crowded we had to wait for a booth. I didn't know so many people came to Palm Springs in the summer, I said, watching the busy waitresses rushing around. I hear it's getting to be quite popular, my mother told me. With everything air-conditioned, people don't mind the heat. Most of the time, they sit around their gorgeous pools anyway. A lot of people come here just to rest, you know. Boring, I thought, but I didn't say it out loud. If we had to go through with it, and standing in Sambo's gave me the feeling that we were there already, I might as well stop sulking and try to be pleasant. But I missed our house already. The waitress was serving another cup of coffee to my mother when my mother pulled out a crude map drawn by hand. We'd better go now, she said, examining the map. The handyman are probably wondering where we are. Let's see, she went on. Mr. Abbott wrote it down for me someplace. Ah, yes. One is called Old Jim, just that, no last name. He's almost 70. And the other one is Paul Strobe. Just turned 18 and a delightful boy, Mr. Abbott wrote. Well, I'm sure both of them will be helpful. I finished the last of my Coke. 18. My straw made a bubbly sound as I breathed up the last of the drink. An 18-year-old guy from town, making summer money at Mr. Abbott's mansion. Maybe I'd practice my smile on him. Neat little stores line both sides of Palm Canyon Drive. Bookstores, lots of clothing shops, florists, interior decorating shops, just about everything you could possibly think of. I was glad there were bookstores. I'd find a way to get away from the Abbott's house and check them out. The shopping district was several blocks long, and a few minutes later I spotted the library. I smiled. They'd get to know me there this summer as a tourist who loved to rummage around their dusty books. Later, maybe later, I'd find enough time to drop in as a well-known writer. Just the thought sent a chill up and down my spine. Eventually, we came to a sign posted on a fence post. Skip-a-Lot Drive, Private Road, Kim read. I like that name. She said it several times over and over. I felt like bopping her. I could feel the hot air and sand mixing in my throat as a sudden wind had come up and swirled around our car, causing the sand to fly in the windows. "There it is ahead," my mother called out to us. I was amazed she could see anything at all. She slowed the car down. The first house loomed up in the windshield, and I could see a wooden sign swinging from a wrought iron post. Abbott, it said. Actually, you couldn't see too much of the house from the road because of the massive stone wall surrounding it. There was a wall surrounding the other house down the road, the only other one in sight, but you could tell they were both magnificent mansions. Tall, majestic date palms swayed on all sides of the walls, like sentries guarding the hidden castles. The road went all the way up to the second mansion and then came to a dead end. My mother stopped the car in front of the Abbott sign and just sat and stared at the iron gate. Finally, she crawled out of the car. She tugged at the black box that turned out to be a phone, and then she found a buzzer. After pressing it for a moment, a voice came from out of the box. It was a young voice, a boy's, not old Jim for sure, I thought. "Yes?" "We're here," my mother said into the little black box. "The Johnsons." She blushed a little and smiled at us. "Wow," Kim said, peering out of the car window. "They must have scads of money." "Hush," my mother said, putting her finger up to her lips. "They can probably hear everything we say." All of a sudden, the gates began to slowly slide open. Quickly, my mother ran back to the car and started the motor. "No telling just how long that thing will stay open," she said, driving the car into the opening. Inside the gates, we approached a semicircular driveway with masses of flowers and different kinds of cactus and date palms surrounding it. They would have to have a full-time gardener, I thought, gasping at the beauty of the place. The house was a Spanish villa, like something I'd seen in a magazine once. The outside was a light salmon color, covered by lush green vines. A tilted veranda surrounded the first floor, and when I walked on the tiles, I felt like I was walking over someone's hand-painted pictures. Each tile was so different, but the miniature flowers in each were blue and white with green leaves. The second floor was surrounded by its own porches. From the ledges, I could see huge clay pots filled with pink and white and purple geraniums. The mammoth, heavily carved wooden front door swung open, and a boy stretched out his hand in greeting. Paul Strobe. He was wearing a faded blue t-shirt and jeans, but that's not what I saw first, I must admit. His hair hung over one eye, and he pushed it back like it was a habit. I would write in my notebook later that his hair was the color of sand I had seen for miles, blonde with light brown streaks. It looked so soft, I wanted to reach out and touch it. His eyes were the deep blue of a summer sky, and his smile was so natural and sincere it was infectious. I sucked in my breath and extended my hand when it came my turn. I felt the warmth of his hand, a warmth that stayed even after he turned to shake Kim's hand. The touch had created a tiny tingle of electricity that reached the insides of my heart. End of Chapter 4. Commentary on Chapter 4. There has been a cultural shift since 1981 as it relates to Native American references. Early in Chapter 4, Mariah describes passing a sign for the Indian Canyons in Palm Springs. She also commented that she didn't realize there were Indians in Palm Springs. Today we understand that what she meant were Native Americans, not Indians. And on page 31, when Kim repeats the name of the road, Skip-a-Lot Drive, it aggravates Mariah and she feels like bopping her. The term bopping in the 1980s meant lightly hitting someone. Bopping was more of a term of endearment than violence. Finally, this is our first introduction to the town of Palm Springs, and more importantly, to a central character, Paul Strobe, the 18-year-old that is staying on the premises to help the Johnsons take care of the Abbott estate. Thanks for listening to Chapter 4 of Barbara Conklin's P.S. I Love You by Bantam Books, copyright 1981. Join me tomorrow as we find out more about the city of Palm Springs and get to know a little bit more as well about Paul Strobe.